Okay guys, super excited today. I'm going to actually get to finally make this 360 drone. I've been waiting to build this for a little while now. I ordered this frame from FPV. It's the invisible frame kit. Not all of the rest of the stuff, just the frame. Had to buy the decals separately as well. I'm going to make the HD version. So this is the drone that carries the Insta360 1R with the lens protectors on, which was really important to me. And when it films, you don't see the drone, so you can scroll around the whole video and the drone's invisible. Amazing. Okay, so let's see what we get. Now at the moment he's not posting to the UK. I had to get this sent to Canada to my sister first, and then she sent it to me, so it cost me quite a lot to get this here. Right, so this is the frame. It looks well cut. It looks well cut. And that looks about 4 to 5 mil thick. I've got no carbon on my hands, so it's clean. If I was going to pick a hole, I guess I'd say that I don't like how small we get around the motor section there. Because obviously it's a one-piece frame, so if you crash this and break the frame, that's it, there's no replacing an arm. Okay, so we get the main plate. I guess that's the top plate. FPV stickers, and then the decals for the actual frame. And then the upstands and screws to make it. Okay, so I guess we'll put the decals on first of all. It's a shame we didn't get the decals for free, you had to buy these separately. This looks like it could be a challenge.
The only thing that could be bad is to take it too seriously. In other words, if you take the fundamental idea that the whole universe, all its forms, all the forms of biology, all the different species, the giraffes, the rhinoceroses, the baboons, the roses, the eucalyptus trees, etc., everything is a form of biological game. It's a dancing thing going on.
Everything I bought for this build I've got from unmannedtech.co.uk, Drone Authority or Hobby RC, and I've always been really happy with everything I've ever bought from any of those guys. So I'll put a little sign up there so you can see all of the components that were advised for this by FPV. These were the brotherhobby 1950 kV, because I'm going to be running the 6S. So there you go, you can see that they are. Let's just zoom in on that little puppy. So 2004, 1950 kV, brotherhobby. Little slimline motors. Because everything's got to be within the range, within the depth of the 360 camera, so nothing can protrude. So it's got to be a really slim build. So those are the motors, and then we're going for the iflight Sussex. It's actually the sussex-d mini f7 twin G. So it's got twin gyro in it. This is the 20mm version, and again, look at me, it's a nice made little stack. And it's an f7, so it's got just tons of UARTs on there. And then the same with the ESCs. Nice build. I say I've used the 30mm, and I'm really happy with it. The standard sussex-d f7, and it's brilliant. So this is going to be mounting like so. And then we're going to be running the caddx vista. I had to get it with the nano. That was what was advised by CADx for the frame build. I'm not well, yeah, there's no one that loves the nano, let's be honest. And if I can later, I might upgrade it if it will fit. So looking at that, we've got to look at how we're going to fit our capacitor in there. You can see there's not loads of room. So I think, looking at our upstands, we've got a little bit of room there to be lifting up the caddx, and the battery wire, I think that's going to have to come maybe under the caddx. And then the little cap, well, it's just about going to squeeze in, isn't it? Just. Okay, so I'm gonna dry fit this a little bit to suss out how everything's gonna go. And I'll probably speed that up for you so you don't have to watch and listen to all the boring stuff.
And each form of it is as legitimate as, say, different kinds of dancing. A waltz, a rumba, foxtrot, frug, all are perfectly legitimate forms of dancing.
Okay, to say this was tight would be an understatement. Okay, so first I'm going to put on our battery lead, and then I'm going to put in place the cap, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to tin, I'm going to flux pin our terminals. I'm ready to tin them. And I'm going to re-tin the battery lead, because usually they use lead free. So now we're going to want to put sleeves on this to make sure there's no bridging. Now here's our capacitor. They come with it, with the board. So usually the minus is the short length and the positive is the long. This has just got like a little indicator of purple, so we're going to on the negative side. So we want this to slip out the side here. So to make that happen, we're only just reaching with the negative, and then the positive can be a lot shorter. I want to get this right. He says, I want to get it all right. So I think I'm going to bend a little right angle on the negative, just maybe not a right angle, just a little touch. So it comes around like so, and then the positive we can cut. Now if this doesn't work, I'm going to extend these. So we can get it right out of the way somewhere. But there's really not a lot of space in this. I've put a bigger capacitor here. This is a 1000 UF 50 volt. You can get smaller 1000 watt one, 1000 UF ones. I just didn't have one. I will exchange it when I get one through, with extension wires going through to the battery terminals. I mounted it here because it would fit there, but we closed off too much of the wind that the props are generating. It's already got two struts here interfering with the lift wind. So when that was put in there, the capacitor, it just blocked off that hole nearly completely, and that really obstructed the flow. So this is where I ended up. Like I say, I will put a smaller one on there. The other one would have probably been fine. I just wanted to put, because I'm running 6S, I just wanted a bigger cap on there than what came with the little small stack. So we're going to do that. After I've put some sleeves on.
Don't take it too seriously. Because if you take it too seriously, you're going to start destroying each other and fighting and saying this city against that city, this country against that country, so on.
Okay, so there's a nicely insulated capacitor. So now we want to get that on there.
Every sane society allows a certain number of people to deviate. It says you don't have to join, you don't have to play the game. It says everybody must join, everybody must work. You don't have to join. You don't have to play the game.
Okay, so now our capacitor just sticks out the side. So we should be able to get the caddx in there now. Now I'm thinking about using plastic bolts for this. Now ordinarily I'd say no and use metal, but I want as zero vibration as possible on this build, because I don't want anything transferring through to that Insta360 1R. If I start getting jello, I'm going to be gutted. And I also don't want any gyro issues or flight problems. So that's what I'm thinking of doing. Right now I'm going to set it up loosely with the plastic ones. Now if this was a freestyle, obviously plastic could just be asking for it. You'd be asking for it just to break. But in truth, you can't crash this. there's no crash in this. If I crash this, it's all over. Right. So that's how we're sort of thinking. Is this battery coming out around the side? I'm going to zip tight to that upstand, so it's going to stay out of shot. That is working for me so far. So I think we'll put the motors on next. Now it does come with some countersunk little bolts. I think they're millimeter Allen key ones, 1.5 maybe. I think they're smaller. They're smaller than 1.5 1.25. So a little bit of Loctite.
It's a dancing thing going on. The acorn is not inferior to the oak tree.
Okay, motors are on. So let's work out now how we're going. see how much room we've got. If I can come in behind and round. I've got these and they're actually, I ordered the wrong size. These are a little bit bigger. So I probably can put some heat shrink on these wires and still run it through. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. So to keep in the theme, I think I'm going to run red. And hopefully it should still, yeah. Slot through nice and snug. Okay. I think we'll do that to all of them already. So I'll speed that up for your benefit.
Potential oak. But as an acorn, it's just as beautiful and lovely a thing as a full-grown oak is. A baby is as lovely as an adult.
Okay, so let's tin this board first of all, I think.
The only thing that could be bad is to take it too seriously. In other words, if you take the fundamental idea that the whole universe, all its forms, all the forms of biology, all the different species, the giraffes, the rhinoceroses, the baboons, the roses, the eucalyptus trees, etc., everything is a form of biological game. It's a dancing thing going on.
Okay. So now we're going to cut all our wires to length and tin them. Okay. Should be my catchphrase, okay? Okay, we'll go ahead and do the rest
all
now.
are perfectly legitimate forms of dancing.
Okay, so now our motors are all soldered up. We can put on our ESC connection to the flight controller. Get it the right way around. Boom. Boom. There we go, it's nicely spring loaded. I'm going to put the screws on, the nuts on that now.
Because if you take it too seriously, you're going to start destroying each other and fighting and saying this city against that city, this country against that country, so on. Every sane society allows a certain number of people to deviate.
Okay, so that seems nice. Just doing that tight enough. Don't want it flopping about, but at the same time really want the jellies to be doing their work. Nice, that seems nice. Okay, so now we need to look at the caddx and soldering this up. Now we're only going to be using this for the video feed. So that's going to go. Nope. Like that, yeah. So we're going to release from this cable. We're going to keep the first 4 and lose the last 2. Because we're just using it for video, and these 2 are if we were using the DJI remote, which radio control transmitter, which we're not So we'll just use the edge of a knife. It's got it. And out it comes. One. And number two. And out it comes. Okay. So there's our plug. We do the same again. Well, actually we can just actually cut these, because we're not going to be using that plug on this end. So now we just sheath these and sheath and tin these individual wires. So you can see, and what we want to do is connect to this one, this one, this one, and this one. So we're going to tin these two. Bit of flux as always. So 5 volt. There's our ground. This is our TX going to the RX. And our RX going to the TX. Okay. All looks good. So we give that a little twist now, gently, but that will help to stop any interference, because the ground wrapping around the RX and the TX forms an insulation. Okie dokie. Again, I didn't have to, but I put the caddx on rubbers, and I'm going to put it upside down just to keep that camera feed away a little bit. From the positive and the negative connection of the battery. And I'm going to send this over the top so it's away from the positive and the negative as well. Okay, that looks good. I could have maybe reduced that, but I'm quite happy with that. Right, so before we fix that down, let's attach the antenna. We can see here, I just have to release this for the plate to slide round and us to get the antenna on. We'll go a little bit careful, make sure we locate it properly. Okay, that's in. Okay, so now that shouldn't be able to come out. So I actually ended up remounting the antenna off to the side here diagonally. It was getting no reception around the other side, unsurprisingly, and it was hard to find different placements, but this placement actually really works. Using the little TPU part, just one of them, that goes, the bolt running through the caddx runs through that and pinches that tight, so you can set this off at an angle. It's got a bit of flex to it, so it can take a hit, and then the cable runs underneath the caddx, past the bolt, at the back, and then into connector. And I found that gave me just dramatically different range, so that's a good and better placement point than the original that I had done. Now we're going to do the caddx up a little bit tighter than we did up our flight stack, because it's a different affair. Okay. Now we need to trim those off so they don't interfere with our upstands, because that's pretty. In fact, I'm going to go a little bit tighter. Okay. Boom. 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 Let's not do something silly with the wires. Boom. Okay, so now we need to look at routing our camera cable. And we've just got enough. I had to get the 20cm one for point of reference. again, that'll be in the list. So So on the list was the nebula. CaiFPV, he lists recommended parts for this build, and the Nebula Nano is the recommended, obviously because of its size. I've got this Nano on my 95X V2 and I don't like it. But like this, like my 95X, this is about the 360 image, and the 95X is about the naked GoPro. That was what I bought it for. So, does it matter? Well, I guess if you were going to try and get into tight gaps and stuff, it would still matter, but I think we've got to fly this a little bit differently. You know, this is a 360 drone. It's going to be flown in a completely different way. It's all about just flying flat and stable and moving around the things that you want, because you'll pick your keyframes as you go. Right. Well, he told me it was tight, all of it, and it is tight, that's for sure. But you can just about get there.
You don't have to join. You don't have to play the game.
So now we need to do the crossfire. Okay, so let's tin and then solder our little nano first. Well, I don't want to play about with this. It's such a tiny little chip. That it's really easy to overheat it, and I don't want that. So let's speed.
It's a dancing thing. The acorn is not inferior to the oak tree. It's a potential oak. But as an acorn, it's just as beautiful and lovely a thing as a full-grown oak is. A baby is as lovely as an adult.
Right. So now we need to tin. This is our 5 volt. This is our ground. R1, T1. So again, let's get that. I'm going to try and avoid that one pad that we don't want to flux as well, just to make it a bit more definitive. And then it's ever so gently tin those little bad boys.
It's a dancing thing going on.
There we go. We are tinned. Now, I'm going to trim these so I've got just enough we're going to start with the 5V, I think, because that's the most difficult one to get to.
It's a dancing thing going on. It's a dancing thing going on. When a society allows a certain number of people to withdraw, it should have no anxiety that everybody will want to withdraw. Because some people are absolutely fascinated in competition, in being involved, in playing the game. They should be. It's fine for them.
Okay, now we can see none of that is touching, and we will spiral that again, twist it up, to stop any interference. So that is now all our soldering done. So now we need to route this immortal T. I'm going to go with this little loop in here, bring this down and then across. That's what I'm going to go with, and we'll see. If I've got to move it, I've got to move it. So the lens guards are going to give me a bit of leeway here. In the picture he puts the crossfire antenna and the analog one here on the top plate, and I just can't find a way to make that work with my antenna for the caddx. I can't get my caddx antenna anywhere else. I do like having crossfire at the back if I can. Makes sense to me. Yes. Okay, that's what we're going to do then. I'm just pushing that off to the side to make sure, just in case I need to get to the bind button. Tight, but just about.
All are perfectly legitimate forms of dancing.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies, ha! There we go, gentlemen. That is, bar a few little tweaks, my finished invisible drone. So there's the finished result. This is it with the rubber bands on. They do work okay. They're wearing out pretty quickly, but they do hold the battery okay because you're not exactly doing power loops or anything, or flips and rolls. The antenna with the Immortal T on the back there is working out fine. The VTX antenna from the caddx vista there, that's perfect. So much more range and penetration with it being there rather than on the side like I originally fitted it. And the cap, as you can see over here, it's a gorgeous looking quad. I do really love the way that this looks, and one of the reasons why I chose this one. Obviously there's a few different ones on the market now. Rob FPV, he makes some great stuff. I'm going to be looking at some of his, building one of his with the ducks on. Then the Stan FPV, some of his look really cool as well. There's the X-Night 360. But the reason I chose this one was that I could both have these lens guards on to protect the lens on my camera, and since building this, I've on my second fly, I stretched the battery too far, and so it landed, and I instantly scratched one of these lens protectors, thus proving to me that they were such a good buy, rather than scratching the actual lens mod, which would have been devastating. But so I can put these lens protectors on, and it's got this band at the front, so God forbid if I did have a proper crash, the camera's got a few different points of protection, and that's a good thing to me. So there you go guys, that is the Covert 360 Kai FPV invisible drone build, and I'll see you in the next video where I will show you some footage from both cameras and setup. I hope you enjoyed it. Give us a thumbs up and a subscribe. Cheers.